What does it take to build a boss fight? Because let's be honest, a lot of times those boss fight levels turn into hours of rolling dice, multiple sessions, and ultimately as a DM, you're just hoping your players are enjoying it. So today we're going to break down the perfect boss fight and how to make sure your players want more. Now, there are a few steps for creating the ultimate boss fight in Dungeons & Dragons. Obviously, step one is to have a good boss in the first place. Ask yourself, and I mean really ask yourself, is this boss integral to this story? Does it have a clear motive, a personality that shines through its actions, and abilities that make it stand out from your run-of-the-mill dungeon dwellers? The boss needs to be the epic conclusion that your players and you were expecting at this point in the story. So think about everything from powers to personality. Make them stand out. Step 2 is to determine the stakes. Did you set the stakes as high as you wanted them to be when you started the campaign? Was this boss fight meant to be the end of the campaign or just a stepping stone in the long road ahead? Determine how much this fight means in the broader narrative you're planning. The stakes should be clear and maybe even personal. Maybe the boss holds the key to a player's long-lost family, or threatens the existence of a beloved town or NPC, or if you want to go there, the boss's defeat is essential to stop a literal catastrophic world-ending event. Whatever the case, make sure it gives the players a reason to fight beyond just the loot. Now, step 3 is the fun part, designing the environment. Now, this part can be a video on its own, but ultimately ask yourself, why are the players in this place at the time of the fight? If it's a dragon boss fight, does it have to take place in its lair? Obviously, mechanically, the dragon gets bonuses in 5e from its lair actions, but you can have the dragon attack the army in the field, or descend on a city. Each of those creates a unique battlefield, so think about the story first and why this boss fight is taking place here. Nothing ruins a good boss fight like pulling the players out of the story, and beyond that, how does the environment change throughout the battle? Nothing is cooler than watching a map break away and crumble, buildings fall, portals open. Think about how the fight affects the environment, and maybe have 2 or 3 other maps as the fight goes on that you can swap out. Now, if you really want to take this a step further, you can create some really immersive encounters with Describe, like really immersive. If you have ever felt like your game sessions could use just a little bit more life like me, then give me just a few seconds. Let me show you today's sponsor, Describe. So what is Describe? Well, honestly, I thought a lot about how to describe Describe, pun intended, and it's the difference between reading about a stormy sea and actually feeling it, right? The chill as the thunder rolls and the waves crash, all perfectly timed with your story, all at your fingertips. And it's because Describe isn't just bringing sound, it's literally giving life to your adventures, from a massive array of maps to epic battle sounds and ambience and sound effects and immersive text that's already written for you, all the way to truly beautiful music, and it all just makes your sessions so unforgettable. And the best part is that it's created by players for players, so all it takes is one subscription for the whole table. I promise you, if you are one of those DMs that wants to make that leap to make your table just that much better for your players, check out Describe and bring your next session to life. It's the tool I always wanted whenever I ran a game. I'm super excited that I found it. So click the link in the description, just give it a look. You're already on the internet, just click the thing, take a peek, and if you want to take the dive, create your account and use my code FANTASYFORGE. And then of course, step 4 is to take that one step further. This step, in my opinion, is the key to a good boss fight. This is the deciding factor between a fight that keeps players engaged and sweating versus one where they're yawning and it turns into a I use my longsword again. Step 4 is all about designing the phases of the boss fight. Let me explain. For this example, let's pick something a little crazier than a dragon. How about an eldritch horror with tentacles and all? Now in phase 1, this thing, whatever it is, shows up maybe over a city. Its very presence causes the world around it and around the players to change. Rifts open up, minions pour out, as well as toxic gases and strange lights that could have their own effects. The players have to strategically deal with multiple enemies, all these minions and these lights and the gases, while the boss could use long-range attacks to try to deal with the players. So that right there could be its own phase, or phase 1. And when the minions are finally dealt with, the next phase, it starts to directly engage. Tentacles rise up and they start to pull players apart, trying to separate the party. It pulls on their weaknesses, and at this point, it might even have lair actions to challenge them even more. This is where its unique abilities can come into play and where it can be really fun as a DM to design those creatures and those encounters. For an eldritch horror, these things could involve mind-affecting powers like inducing fear or confusion among the party. Then in phase 3, as the boss's health starts to wane, it becomes desperate and its tactics change. Perhaps it begins to teleport around the battlefield. It becomes partially intangible, or it might even summon a powerful shield that has to be taken down before it can be damaged further. This phase is about perseverance and how quickly the players can adapt to new strategies and overcome the boss's last-ditch efforts to survive. Each phase involves different tactics, maybe even a new map, and each one of those phases could take up its own session. By changing the pace and the tactics, the players aren't getting getting bored with the same fight dragging on, the same strategy, the same encounter. They never know what to expect, and this keeps it fun and maybe a little stressful. Now, if this is the boss fight, and I mean the end of the campaign, you can break this up into phases of a ritual, or you can make it waves of monsters that they need to stop, or you can even do timed events such as if you don't finish X in 10 rounds, A, B, and C will happen. There are lots of ways that you can split up the phases, but ultimately I think the phases are what's going to help digest longer battles for players. So think about how you can turn a single fight into 2 or 3 or more smaller fights with different goals or strategies for each one. It'll go a long way to breaking up the long fight ahead and may even give you a good stopping place for each of those sessions. And then there's step 5, which may or may not apply to you. It centers on engagement and inclusivity. Now what I mean is that every player should have their moment in the spotlight, and too many times a boss fight can feel like it was won by only 1 or 2 players. So what you want to do is make sure that you're tailoring aspects of the fight to shine on different party members' strengths. Maybe the enemy is weak to magic attacks for a short amount of time, which can give your wizard a moment to shine. Or maybe there's a physical challenge that requires the brute strength of the fighter or the barbarian. This approach ensures that the victory feels earned by the whole group, not just 1 or 2 members. Now, number 6 is to make sure the boss feels real the whole time. And by that, I mean they should act and speak a certain way at the beginning of the encounter and a different way at the end. If they speak, their dialogue should change. They should go from boasting to anger to fear. If they can't speak, such as this eldritch horror, which may not even have a mouth, the tentacles can reach out at the beginning confidently and recoil in pain and fear at the end. The personality of this boss should shine through the whole time. So make sure that you're thinking about how this thing or this boss is interacting with your players as the fight is going on. And honestly, pro tip, maybe even write down some things that you can say or that this thing will do or speak at 75% health, 50%, and 25% health. And lastly, step 7 is to look beyond the fight to the aftermath. One of the easiest ways to make a boss fight feel like it was subpar is by having the aftermath be subpar. The fallout from the boss battle should have lasting implications for the world and the characters. It's a boss fight. Perhaps the death of the boss creates a power vacuum and it leads to chaos in the region. Or maybe it earns the party fame and gratitude and it opens up new opportunities and alliances. This is the time for rewards that go beyond just gold and items. I'm talking about things like titles and lands or unique powers that have real significance in your campaign and to your players, especially if they're higher level. If this was a real boss fight, it needs to feel like it and the world needs to react to that. Imagine for a moment that a monster was defeated in a town nearby to you. How would you react? Now, obviously, monsters aren't real. I'm sure somebody out there thinks they are. But chances are you would react with alarm and praise for the heroes that saved your town and stopped this thing from coming over to your area. You want to take that sort of thought process into your games. By doing that, that's how you're going to make your world feel more real, feel more alive, and make the boss feel like it was something that was tangible and visceral and not just something with a health bar. So there you have it, 7 steps to creating a perfect boss fight. Let me know what you do to design your own boss fights, and if I forgot something, leave it in the comments down below. A huge thank you to Describe for sponsoring this episode. As always, thank you for watching. Forge on, my friends, and we'll see you next time, adventurers. And now you know what time it is. It is time for those shoutouts. Kira Rosen says, so cute little kitty, he looks so happy, he has no idea what he's got himself into by joining that group. He really doesn't. And you know what, that's totally okay. Eye of Ender commented, found the little bugger. I know displacer beasts are wild animals, but finding one in Baldur's Gate 3, spoilers, made me stop and admire its beauty. My dumb white girl self really said kitty. That's great, I love that. Sergio de la Mano commented, the very best boy arrives at exactly 4:53. Good catch, Sergio. Joseph says, Tobias, 4:53, but I'm guessing I'm way too late to the party. Joseph, you are never too late to the party. The party goes on. That said, also, you can just refer to me as Joey V because I tend to not put people through the agony of spelling or saying my last name. Well, you know what? I'm going to give it a shot. Joseph Wahabsadeh. Let me know if I said that right. And there you have it. Quick shout outs for everybody that's been paying attention. Now, if you've been paying attention in today's video, leave a timestamp where you saw Tobias in the comments down below, and you might just get shouted out in the next video.